A bill proposed in the General Assembly would outlaw paddling in public schools.
And changes in campus housing assignments take students by surprise. I'm Emmy Shalua.
And I'm Abigail Brown. You're watching Carolina News Today.
Carolina News Today is brought to you in part by Zeno's Italian Grill in Pembroke. Lunch specials every weekday, and now they deliver. Homemade pizza and calzones, gluten-free pasta available. 938 East 3rd Street, 910-775-9393. It's zenospembroke.com.
A Nash County man is behind bars in Arizona facing murder charges for stabbing his wife to death. As he awaits his extradition back home to North Carolina, authorities are now fielding questions about the 2006 death of his first wife. David Daniel reports.
My heart goes out to the son, 10 years old, that's without a mother today, and's got a father that's being detained.
A North Carolina man wanted for murdering his wife was arrested by authorities on Interstate 10 near Tucson, Arizona on Sunday, bringing an end to a days-long manhunt that left the town of Nashville, North Carolina on edge.
I'm just glad that we've got a killer off the road and we've brought some closure to this case.
Rexford Lynn Keel is facing a charge of first-degree murder. Nash County Sheriff Keith Stone said preliminary investigations indicate he stabbed his wife Diana Keel several times. Her body was found days later in a wooded area 30 miles from their home.
I love you, and I'm so sorry I didn't protect you more.
Now in the custody of Arizona law enforcement, he's awaiting extradition to North Carolina. Investigators haven't said what motivated Keel to kill his wife Diana, but authorities are reconsidering the death of his first wife, following speculation that her 2006 death was not an accident.
We're going to work all the leads on that, and we're going to go back and look at the information that we had from the first incident reports. We're going to talk with the district attorney's office, but definitely it's something that we need to be looking at.
A police officer in Maxton who was fired in February has the support of the Policeman's Benevolent Association. According to the Robertsonian newspaper, the PBA Southeastern Division asked the Maxton Board of Commissioners for an investigation. An officer with more than 20 years on the force was let go for allegedly misusing a national law enforcement database. The PBA says the officer, Jamie Oxendine, may have been the victim of retaliation and personal bias. They want the district attorney or State Bureau of Investigation to look into the matter.
With thousands more students expected to enroll next fall, UNCP is preparing for more demand in student housing. CNT reporter Alexis Clinton tells us about new construction on campus, but also says there will be some building reassignments.
Enrollment is increasing, which means there's a higher demand for housing on campus. Unlike past years, students won't be able to select the room that they are currently living in. Housing and Residential Life is expecting freshmen to make up the largest class. With the new selection process, freshmen will only be able to live in communal-style dorms like North and Belk or suite-style dorms like Pine and Oak. The Director of Housing and Residential Life says this will provide freshmen with new experiences.
Freshmen really need to be in experiences and in housing that gives them the ability to socialize and meet more people and kind of congregate and get connected to the campus as they transition from high school to college. There's a lot of things they need to be involved with and get connected to. I mean, something as simple as if they want to go into communication or broadcasting, connecting with other students who are in that field.
Posner did say upperclassmen have the advantage to select housing first. Upperclassmen will be selecting from apartment-styled campus living like Village and Courtyard.
To accommodate the growth on campus, Courtyard Apartments will be gaining 4 new buildings.
With the new addition to Courtyard, Housing and Residential Life is expecting to have spaces to house 2,300 students. In the next couple of weeks, Housing and Residential Life will be emailing surveys. Posner is encouraging students to tell them about their personal housing experience. For Carolina News Today, I'm Alexis Clinton.
UNCP students in an art class welcomed 2 guest artists from the world of comics Thursday. Artist Paris Cullens and writer Gary Kahn are best known for their work with DC Comics. They shared ideas about effective storytelling, creativity, and professional employment. The lecture was recorded by students in a video course. Later, Kahn and Collins were guests in the TV studio for Professor Dollard's show, Comic Culture. The episode will air on the North Carolina Channel, a division of North Carolina Public Broadcasting.
One annual event students look forward to on campus is both educational and delicious. CNT reporter Alexis Clinton tells us all about their career readiness.
The Career Center hosted its annual Etiquette Dinner in the UC Annex. Students and faculty were invited to enjoy a 4-course meal as they learned proper table manners. The night was filled with do's and don'ts at the table. From body language to how to properly hold a fork, the host explained some of the common mistakes she notices.
Most of them want to pick up bread, slice it in the middle, and put butter all over the roll, and then pick the roll up and start nibbling around it. The second thing that I also observe that some students have a hard time with is engaging in conversation that is meaningful, expressing themselves, expressing interest in other people.
Throughout the night, students worked together to apply the tips. One senior says this event taught him a lot.
I haven't been in many settings like this, and it kind of prepares you and makes you a little bit more comfortable when it comes into going into the real world. And something that I took from that she spoke about was how to transition yourself from speaking like a student and then like an adult. So, and that's sometimes that's the transition is hard, and we kind of can confuse that at times.
The Etiquette Dinner is a part of a full week of events the Career Center has been hosting. The week will end on Sunday with the JCPenney Suit Up event in Fayetteville. For Carolina News Today, I'm Alexis Clinton.
Now we're 3 for 5 on adopted dogs and cats who will be featured on Pet of the Week. Let's keep it going. Puppies and kittens are always popular, but seniors are also deserving of a loving home. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Carrie Pinckney for Carolina News Today. We're back again at the Robeson County Humane Society with Mindy Morris as we search for our Pet of the Week.
Minnie is a little bit older cat. She's between 5 and 6 years of age. Her owner became very ill with a disease that was terminal, so that's how we ended up with Minnie. She's very much a lap cat. She loves to just sit and cuddle. That's her main thing. She's current on all her vaccines and already spayed. Her adoption fee is $25.
To adopt Minnie or one of her cat compadres, head on over to the Robeson County Humane Society's website and fill out an application to become an approved adopter. For Carolina News Today, I'm Carrie Pinckney.
Legislation presented this week in Raleigh would ban spanking and other types of corporal punishment in public schools across the state. A House Education Committee voted to move forward with the statewide ban this fall. The legislation has received bipartisan support, and if passed, the law would also apply to public charter schools. Robeson County is one of only a few school districts to still allow paddling with parents' permission.
A lot of students are getting creative with their senior photos right about now, but you should know railroad tracks are off limits. The North Carolina Department of Transportation has launched their Be Rail Safe program. This is NCDOT Now.
Welcome to this week's edition of NCDOT Now. I'm your host, Miracle King. This week, we're talking about railroad safety and ways you can help keep North Carolina clean and beautiful. To start,
you wouldn't take photos in the middle of an interstate or on an airport runway, so why consider standing on railroad tracks to get that one shot? With prom and graduation season approaching, the department is urging people to not take photos on railroad tracks. Because of new technology, approaching trains are much quieter than expected, so students should not assume they'll hear one coming. In addition, railroad tracks are private property, and using them for photo backdrops is illegal. Remember, see tracks, think train. For more railroad safety information, visit BeRailSafe.org.
As spring cleaning begins, we invite you to gather your friends, family, or community group and join us for Spring Litter Sweep.
The annual statewide sweep is taking place from April 13th to 27th. Volunteers are needed to help remove litter from roadsides, keeping North Carolina both beautiful and safe. Participants will be provided cleanup supplies such as reversible orange and blue trash bags, gloves, and safety vests from their local NCDOT County Maintenance Yard offices. NCDOT spends $18 million a year on litter pickup. The spring and fall litter sweeps and Adopt-A-Highway volunteers throughout the year help supplement their effort, saving taxpayers millions of dollars. To get involved, visit the link shown.
That's all for this week's edition of NCDOT Now from all of us here at the North Carolina Department of Transportation. Safe travels.
Students caught up in an elite college admissions scandal are finding it hard to continue with school.
Can hip-hop music improve the taste of cheese? Find out what some researchers think when we come back after the break.
I am a first-generation college student, and I am Brave Nation.
I'm a musician, and I am Brave Nation.
I am Palestinian Muslim, and I am Brave Nation.
I am from Monrovia, Liberia, and I am Brave Nation.
I am a leader, and I am Brave Nation.
I'm a Christian, and I am Brave Nation.
I am Omega Psi Phi and Phi Mu Alpha, and I am Brave Nation.
I am disabled, and I am Brave Nation.
Choose to transform.
Choose to discover.
Choose value.
Choose to make a difference.
Choose to succeed.
Choose to be a brave.
When you choose UNC Pembroke, you choose small classes and personal attention. You choose quality and affordability. Because we are an NC Promise campus, tuition is only $500 a semester in-state and $2,500 a semester out-of-state. Visit uncp.edu or call 910-521-6262 for more information.
I did some research and I saw the demographics, the certifications, and the faculty and stuff like that, and I knew I wanted to at least visit. So I came down here for a visit, and my program advisor showed me around the place, the program, the buildings, and stuff like that, and I fell in love. I knew that this is where I wanted to go to school.
Hello, I'm Grady Hunt, a lifelong resident of Robeson County and the father of 3 children. Each year, an average of 43 residents die as a result of vehicle crashes right here in Robeson County. To change this statistic, we have formed a task force called Robeson County Vision Zero. This is an ambitious effort. We have partnered with the North Carolina Department of Transportation and others, but it will take all of us to achieve this goal. Please visit our website to find out how you can help.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at activeforlife.ca.
Retirement is not even on the radar for a 97-year-old man in New Jersey. This World War II vet still works part-time at a grocery store. As Tony Yates reports, he doesn't plan on stopping anytime soon.
You want the bottles in here?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Bartholomew Facito is very proud of his years.
1921 I was born.
He brags to his Stop and Shop customers as we record.
Hey, you know I'm getting old.
God bless you. And that's the way 97-year-old Benny lives his life, with age as a fact, not as a factor. You don't look it.
No, I'm handsome.
And he's busy working, bagging groceries 2 days a week at this Edison Stop and Shop.
Put it in a bag and customers want to get out.
Mr. Benny has been a part of the Stop and Shop family for nearly 10 years. He used to be at another store, but then his family moved closer to Edison, and all that meant was a job transfer for Mr. Benny.
Benny's a joy. He's full of life. He's happy.
Makes you feel proud. Makes you feel proud. They put my right up on over there.
He's talking about his recent story in the Star Ledger that's made him a local star.
Have you autographed?
And I'm in awe of him, too, that he's able to still move around at 97 years old.
All the more love he gets as folks learn that he was a gunner on a fighter plane during World War II.
I was scared every time I had to get in the plane. But the Lord took me back.
Benny stops the conversation. His customers come first.
Be careful.
But he picks up with us, and we learn one reason why he cherishes his long life.
The day I didn't fly, they shut my plane down.
This veteran and duty-bound American.
And I don't know where they went down.
An autograph seeker.
Was he in the Air Force?
Yes, sir.
What would you fly?
F-86.
Benny looks forward to every day.
How long are you going to keep working?
Until I drop dead.
The University of Southern California has placed a hold on students' accounts who may be involved in a college admissions scam revealed by the FBI last week. Those students won't be allowed to register for classes or get their transcripts until the investigation is complete. The university says the students have been notified their status is under review. USC says it has the option of expelling current students or pulling the admissions of new students, depending on the results of the investigation. It's unclear of how many USC students are affected.
The Trump administration is calling on Congress to place limits on student loan borrowing. Currently, there is a cap on the amount of money an undergraduate can borrow from the federal government. That number is about $57,000 over the student's lifetime, but no such limit exists for graduate students as well as parents and guardians of undergrads. Some critics argue that unlimited borrowing could encourage colleges to hike tuition and leave borrowers struggling to pay back loans. A senior White House official says the administration wants to encourage responsible borrowing, but the official did not give a specific number on what the proposed limit would be. The administration is also proposing simplifying student loan repayment.
Thousands of people around the world are watching the second-by-second developments in a bald eagle nest in California. Joy Benedict has more.
All eyes are on the trees in the San Bernardino National Forest. Just west of Fonscan, across the lake and over a ridge, there's something stirring, and it takes an eagle eye to spot it.
I love them.
Sandy Steers has been watching the bald eagles around Big Bear Lake for more than a decade.
I just think they're fascinating creatures.
So fascinating that she helped start Friends of Big Bear Valley to help keep an eye on our national bird, which is slowly making its way back to the forest.
It just felt like we wanted to know more about what was happening with them.
But after watching with her scope for many years, the nonprofit finally raised enough money to install a camera in one nest, and then this fall, an even better one.
We had to hire somebody who has special permits, federal permits and state permits to be able to be around eagles, to climb the tree and install the camera.
Now with a crystal clear picture, Steers isn't the only one watching. Thousands are heading to YouTube every day for a rare look at these majestic creatures who in the last couple of weeks have laid 2 eggs.
We've gotten people from all over the world emailing and asking questions.
And Steers seems to know a lot of the answers. An avid birder, she's watched one of these eagles grow. They call her Jackie, and she was born in this forest 7 years ago at a different nest nearby.
We don't have any way of proving it. She's not tagged.
But 2 years ago, Jackie found a mate. She and Mr. B had 2 chicks last year.
Unfortunately, we had big storms that one of the chicks did not survive.
And although bald eagles are said to mate for life, that wasn't the case with Jackie after a younger bird started flying around.
And Mr. B tried to make him go away with just poking at him, and he wouldn't leave, and so finally Mr. B left.
So now the world is watching Jackie and Shadow, and as the days go by, there should be even more.
We're projecting about April 13th.
And although it would be hard to see with the naked eye, this new technology gives us all a bird's eye view to the fierce beauty and proud independence that made the bald eagle our nation's emblem.
A unique study out of Switzerland suggests that music can affect the taste of cheese, and indicates that hip-hop music in particular makes cheese taste best. Researchers at Bern University of the Arts exposed 5 wheels of cheese to different kinds of music, played on a loop for 6.5 months, 24 hours a day. The songs included Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, Mozart's Magic Flute, and the song Jazz by A Tribe Called Quest. Other cheeses were exposed to sound waves only at different frequencies, and one was a control cheese exposed to silence. Researchers concluded that music had an impact on the strength of smell, taste, and flavor. A group of food professionals participated in blind taste tests and declared that the cheese exposed to A Tribe Called Quest came out better in both smell and taste.
An incredible rescue was caught on video. As you'll see here, police officers in town in Iowa do what they can to save a mother and her 3 young children from a devastating fire.
Man.
Get all your kids by the window.
Trapped inside on the burning third story was Oceana Harrison and her kids, all under the age of 3.
When I opened the door, it's just like a wall of thick smoke.
Desperate to save her kids, Harrison made the only choice she had, and Des Moines police officer Cole Johnson was quick to act, telling the family to take a leap of faith.
Got him! I got you, baby. Wait. Stay on the edge if you can, okay? You guys got a ladder! You gotta get a ladder! You guys got a ladder! We need a ladder!
He was like, you gotta trust me. And I was like, I don't trust nobody with my kids. But at that point in time, I was just like, I gotta get him out.
The officers tried to comfort the kids until they could rescue their mom.
Okay, let's go sit in the car. You wanna go sit in the car and stay warm? Hey, honey. How are you? Hey, I keep you warm, okay? I'll turn the heat on, all right? Okay. Your mommy's gonna get out, okay?
The family's safe and the officers...
I got you. Come here, honey. I got you, baby. I got you, baby. Come here.
...are being hailed as heroes.
I can't say thank you enough to them. Like, I owe them the world because they saved my world.
In all, 4 police officers were being hailed for their efforts in saving the family. Meanwhile, officials say the fire remains under investigation.
Braves track and field athletes continue to break records.
And a blind runner gets help from his furry friends.
Ty the sports guy with the details right after this.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
We're doing it.
I'm testing for HIV.
Knowing your HIV status allows you to stay healthy.
I do it for my sisters.
To stay strong.
For your partner. I care for my community.
I do it to lead by example.
We do it for love.
And now it's your turn to get tested for HIV.
It's fast, it's free, and it's confidential.
Make HIV testing a part of your routine.
Visit cdc.gov/doing it.
I'm doing it. Are you?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Every year, airmen face overwhelming challenges. Fortunately, our airmen are resilient and help is available. Last year, 37,000 airmen had the courage to get help for themselves and others when they needed it.
Because I had the courage.
Because I had the courage.
Because I had the courage to get help, I was able to help others.
Because I had the courage to get help, I was the first in my family to get a college degree.
Because I had the courage to get help, I married the love of my life. And I got to meet the second love of my life.
Because I had the courage to get help, I was able to see my son grow up.
And because I had the courage to get help, another airman had the courage to get help. Care, connect, cope. And for all of those that you love and who love you, be there.
Brave Nation, welcome back to another week of Brave Athletics. I'm Ty the Sports Guy. Let's start with men's basketball. Saturday, the Braves competed in the NCAA Division II tournament. In the opening round, the Braves went up against number 4 seed Catawba College, and things didn't turn out as planned. Catawba was able to hold the Braves to just 32% shooting and commanded a 19-2 run early in the first half. The Braves held on as long as they could, thanks to going 28-17 in the rebounding column. In the second half, the Indians went on a scoring run to take the win over the Braves 80-61. After the weekend, head coach Ben Miller talked about how he's looking forward to next year's lineup despite not making it as far as they had hoped this time around.
I think realistically the last really 7 or 8 years when we talked about championships, whether it's conference, regional, or beyond, it's gotten more and more realistic. And, you know, obviously we didn't reach some of those goals this year. And sometimes setbacks like that are necessary to refocus, have some guys mature in the offseason, because I think the sky's the limit again. We'll definitely have more experience coming back with 5, possibly 6 seniors, a great group of juniors, along with some sophomores that got a good experience, and a couple additions in the freshman class, I think, that could also contribute. So great group coming back, great leadership. If the coaches are worth a darn, we might be able to win a few games.
We just learned that assistant men's basketball coach Drew Richards has accepted the head coaching job at Peach Belt rival Lander University, which should make for some interesting matchups next year, with him having the inside track on the Braves' coaching style. In baseball, the Braves had 2 different matchups since I last saw you. The first matchup was a 3-game weekend face-off against Anderson University. The Braves came away with a dub in every game, winning the first one 11-4, the second 8-0, and finally the third 13-0. The Braves were hoping to continue this momentum going into their game against Coker College Tuesday. The Braves kept bouncing back from a pair of 2-run deficits, but unfortunately came out losing by 1, 5-6 in extra innings. Their next game is against Georgia College this weekend at home. On Saturday, sophomore Elena Richardson was able to break a 19-year-old record in pole vaulting, but she wasn't the only one. Freshman Skylar Marino also broke an 8-year-old record in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. Richardson took top honors in the pole vault with a mark of 3 meters flat, breaking the old school record of 2.13 meters. Marino also came away with a title, crossing the finish line in 11 minutes and 39 seconds, which is 8 seconds faster than the previous record. Track and field will compete on Friday and Saturday when they head to Rock Hill, South Carolina for the Winthrop Adidas Invitational at the Irwin Belk Track and Field facility. A blind runner has made history at the New York City Half Marathon. Thomas Panic is the first blind runner to finish the event with his guide dogs. The race's website says Panic and his 4-legged friends crossed the finish line Sunday in less than 2.5 hours. Panic, who's lost his eyesight in his early 20s, is the president of Guiding Eyes for the Blind. His 3 Labrador retrievers, Wesley, Waffle, and Gus, each took a shift on a 13.1-mile run. Gus took the final leg and got to take a photo at the end with the medal. Panic hopes he and his dogs will inspire others with disabilities to take part in more activities. That's all I have for this week's Brave Sports. I'm Ty the Sports Guy. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Ty. That's all for us. Thanks for watching. I'm Abigail Brown.
And I'm Amy Shalua, and we'll see you next week.